The Mortuary by Richard L. Elsliger. At 12:01 a.m., they pronounced me dead. The doctor at my bedside called the code, advising the nurse in a routine, rather mundane manner. The way I passed was not particularly gruesome. A heart attack was all. It happened at a restaurant, of all places. I survived long enough to make it to the emergency ward with the blind hope that I might pull through. Apparently, that was not in the cards, as it is said. When my heart gave out, I had the sensation of pain spreading through my chest, down my left arm, and the sudden and urgent need for oxygen. My body refused my demands for oxygen, my lungs unable to comply. My mind held out, drifting to otherworldly realms, yet I still sensed that my spirit somehow remained anchored to my body. My basic understanding of the afterlife was that we pass on and leave our bodies in flight to another place, an off-world location, perhaps heaven if one wishes to characterize it as such. Technically, my brainwaves should have stopped by now, and the EEG should register me as flatlined, yet my thoughts persist. Should I not already have shuffled off this mortal corpse? Never having experienced death before, this is a most strange experience that defies the literature, the written accounts, and the spoken word passed on through the eons. I am acutely aware of warm fingers closing my open eyes. Everything turns to the blackness of sleep, yet I am still mentally awake. I can still hear the tick of the clock's second hand on the wall. It sounds much louder now, almost painfully loud. My heartbeat sounded every bit as steady and rhythmic as this wall clock, its organic and constant thump unimpeded while I ate at the restaurant. But now the medical consensus standing around me is of the opinion that my heart has solidly stopped. Am I breathing? I make attempts to breathe, commandeering my mind to fill my lungs with air. Nothing happens. A sheet is pulled over my face, and though I cannot see the act of covering my body with the linen, I can mentally sense the action and perceive a gentle weight upon my nose and forehead. I am not comforted by this act. I am terrified. They're leaving me. I hear voices become distant down the hall. The steady tick of the clock continues, the only companion I have at the moment, and I find a degree of mental solace in its presence. I have no appreciation of time's passage other than the sound of the wall clock in this empty and vacuous place. I think a good 2 hours have passed since my doctor abandoned me for dead. Now I hear two voices draw near. How long have I been here, and why is no one doing anything to revive me? I'm not dead. I'm not. I am insistent on this point, but my mouth refuses to respond to my mental commands to speak. Wait a minute. I've heard of this before. This is a form of paralysis that fools the living, convincing them that the patient is deceased, when in fact the subject is very much alive. If only I can let them know. If only I can mutter a sound, an articulation from my vocal cords that would alert them to my plight. My mouth is incapable, and my vocal cords are no better. If I cannot utter a sound, then I will attempt to move a body part. I apply all my force of will to move my arm, but to no avail. I try a smaller task, to move my hand. My effort falls flat. I attempt an even smaller goal, to move a finger, but my body remains unresponsive. I need to do something and do it now. I sense a lifting feeling, not in the spiritual sense, but rather someone lifting my body from my bed and placing me somewhere else. I am placed upon a gurney. I'm sure of it. I know it's a gurney because I can hear the rickety wheels turning beneath as they wheel me out of the room and down the hallway. Maybe they're taking me to another operating room. Maybe this time they'll save me. I can only hope. Hope is all I have. I hear conversations of medical staff that come and go in Doppler waves. The voice of staff fade and disappear. I come to a halt. I hear a bell. I have the sensation that I'm on an elevator. This is good news. They're taking me to be worked upon. I hear the elevator chime, or at least I perceive the sound of the elevator chime, indicative that we have arrived to the designated floor. The panel doors sweep apart. I am wheeled further and further down a long corridor toward my new room, the room where I will be operated on. I sense a pair of doors crash open at my feet with rude abruptness, a rather uncivil way to treat a patient, but I attributed the offensive charge toward the access doors as reflective of the sense of urgency to save me. I come to a rolling stop and then hear a door opening, a vacuum seal pried apart with some force. Now I'm wheeled around like a ballet dancer on my stretcher and have this peculiar sensation of being shoved. I am not in the operating room anymore. I'm somewhere else. The sounds of human voices become muffled, and a sensation of frosty coolness caresses my skin. I hear a door close at my feet, and then my senses, what is left of them, go into a severe state of deprivation. I hear no voices. I see no ambient light, and I feel the mild sting of a much colder environment. I have the distinct impression that I am in a sealed chamber of some sort. They call them deprivation chambers, I believe. And then I understand. I'm in the morgue. A rising terror creeps into my mind. I will surely freeze if left in this place. Hello? Hello? Don't leave me here. My mind shouts at the foolish orderly who put me in the morgue. The absolute fool. I attempt again to move one of my appendages, any one of them, and pound on the walls with all my might, but nothing reacts to my severest of intentions. I want to cry, but I cannot develop a single tear from any corner of my eyes. This turn of events is not what I had expected. I spend an indeterminate amount of time in this chamber, this meat locker for the dead, and I do not sleep. My mind pulses with futile thoughts, dreams, flights of fancy on how I would extricate myself from this foul circumstance. Having no concept of time, I have no idea how long I've been sequestered within this hole. At some point, I hear the tap of shoes. They sound like a pair of high heels. The door to my chamber opens. A rush of warm air enters, while cold air exits, a thing my mind perceives, yet the worldly senses of my body fail to register. The overhead lights touch my closed eyes, even through the linen veil that shrouds my body and my face. I feel vindicated for my freedom away from this depraved, frosty chamber, yet I still am unable to move. I do not want to be placed back inside there again. My mind pleads for someone, anyone, to get a doctor and do something to resuscitate me. The sheet that covers my face is lifted. I hear a woman begin to cry. She speaks gentle words to me, my wife, stroking the features of my face and bidding me a solemn farewell, saying that she loved me and always will. I'm not dead, damn it! I shout these words within the confines of my mind, my lips unable to utter so much as one breath, one syllable. The sheet passes over my face again, and a horizontal sliding sensation ensues. They shove me right back in cold storage again. Damn them! The cold, obdurate door slams shut, and I once again drift, trapped in this deprivation chamber of horror, my mind and body entrapped within an austere stainless steel cocoon. Another day elapsed, or was it two? The chamber opens again, and they pull me out. I hear two voices, two men telling a joke between them, an embarrassing joke about me that I dare not repeat here. I still have my pride. They wheel me along corridors, and this time I sense that we are outside. Good, they're transferring me to a hospital that can better assist, a place that knows what they're doing, unlike these medical incompetents. When I'm up and about again, I plan to let them know their level of ineptitude. I encounter a few rough spots when they load me into the ambulance, but no damage is done, and we are away. Strangely, I hear no siren overhead. I reason that they want to get me to the new hospital quickly, without the drama of racing through intersections with a blasting siren song, the melody that precipitates an accident. The new doctor would know. The new doctor would realize my paralysis and administer the best treatments available to revive me to my former self. Of that I remain certain. We arrive, and they remove me from the back of the ambulance, bouncing me roughshod to the ground on rusty wheels. The attendants roll me indoors, and again I'm on an elevator. The doors sweep open, and they wheel me into emergency. Though I cannot see, I can hear, and I draw all reasonable inferences to my situation. My mind thanks them for recognizing my situation. The linen veil that covers me is removed, and I hear the doctor snap on his gloves. A battery of overhead lights switches on to illuminate my closed eyes. The lights feel incredibly warm on my face, which is curious as I recognize that my heart attack significantly blunted my ability to feel with my five senses. The nurses begin to remove my clothes, giving me a positive belief within a reasonable degree of medical certainty. They and the head doctor will get to the heart of the issue that plagues me and paralyzes my every attempt to move. I sense gentle touching of my legs and my chest in circular motions. They're scrubbing my body. They are preparing me for the operation. For reasons unknown, they must believe I don't need anesthesia because I have no perception of a mask being placed upon my face to accomplish that very thing. No matter, the doctor will do his handiwork. I hear one of the nurses wondering to the other who I was, while they prepare me for whatever miracle the doctor has in mind to bring me back. Silly of them, I imagine, referring to me in the past tense. Do they not know that I'm paralyzed? That I'm unable to move or speak in answer to their inquiry? They'll soon know the cause, and then they will shriek in awe as I rise from the dead. We will all have a good laugh out of it when they realize their erroneous assumptions. The washing stops, and then the overhead lights switch off. The voices recede, and they leave me on this medical slab. I hear the door close. Do they not understand the urgency of my plight? They must come back and tend to me, make me whole, revive me to once more be a productive member of society. Where was my wife in all this? Certainly she had the good sense to intervene and ensure that the work must continue. They'd come back. The medical staff would be back, and the head doctor with them. I have every confidence of a positive outcome, therefore I relax in the eerie silence of this room. Though I have no evidence of time's passage like I did in the previous medical establishment from listening to that painful, pervasive ticking of the wall clock, I have good reason to believe another day elapsed. I hear the door open. Someone comes in, and this individual handles me more coarsely. I have the invasive impression of a needle entering my neck, a long, wandering needle. This ruffian waves the needle in my neck as if it were a magic wand, and he, the magician, casting an incantation. I attribute this phenomenon to some new medical procedure that would revive me. I wait for that moment to arrive, but that moment is replaced with something horrible. I perceive a slash made by a scalpel to my neck, and the strong hand of someone massaging in a downward fashion, pushing toward my heart as the other hand moves the needle. I gain the distinct sensation of my innards changing, a sensation of my life being drawn out through one side of my neck, while the invasive needle balancing the equation on my other side, flooding me with a substance that feels icy cold in my arteries. What is happening to me? The individual keeps massaging my body, enhancing this most strange sensation. The machine that performs this awful procedure hums like an aquarium pump. Perhaps this is a means to bring me back, to jumpstart my hibernating heart. Since they wrongfully called the code on me at 12:01 a.m., I have no sense of its beating presence. I attribute this to my paralysis. The needle procedure goes on for an indeterminate length of time, for as I mentioned before, I have no sense of time's passing. The weird sensations end when the pump stops, thankfully, and the ruffian removes that horrible wand from my neck. The grip of morbid icy cold fills my body now, an inexplicable sensation I attribute to the medical procedure they performed. In all certainty, this feeling would subside, and I would sit directly in bed, kick on my shoes, and walk right out of the hospital. When this would happen baffles my most rational and calculating senses. They are not done with me yet. I distinctly detect a light brushing across my face, like a painter's brush applying an artist's strokes to every spot of exposed skin, filling my every pore with an unknown substance. Someone lifts my eyelids to the light, no doubt to test the reactivity of my pupils. I expect a doctor's mini flashlight to peer into my soul, but instead 2 hardened contact lens caps are placed upon my dry eyes. The fools! I didn't need contact lenses. My eyesight is perfect. This hospital is no better than the last, and likely far worse. I need to get out of here. Someone begins packing my throat with cotton wool, and then my nose with the same. I want to choke. They pack my throat until it's stuffed like a holiday turkey with assorted material. What sort of medical procedure is this? It made no sense. My jaw slackens with the overload of invasive material in my throat, and to counteract the effect, they wire my jaw shut for some unknown purpose. The monsters! How would I ever speak to them now? How would I get a message to them should my paralysis begin to wear off? The discomfort of the wiring makes me wrench in pain, if I could call it pain, for my nerves fail to register any true feeling in the manner I was normally accustomed to before the doctor called the code. I hear a nurse speaking to me, talking to me in the softest tones, caring, reassuring, advising words that she was about to dress me in the finest suit imaginable. She moves my arms and legs in awkward ways, my body resisting the suit, yet she manages to lay the suit over me and tuck the backside underneath. Where are my shoes? If I am to wear a suit, I need shoes. Most bizarre for a hospital to dress their sick patient in a suit. This all seemed outrageous to me. Now I hear two more joining the conversation, deeper voices, and they lift the sheet upon which I lay and hoist my body up and over to some very tight confines. This is getting exceedingly uncomfortable. They fold my hands to accommodate these new quarters. Someone places and adjusts the pillow behind my neck. The lights in my room turn off once more, and I hear a door close again, leaving me in this strange bed, leaving me with icy veins, incapable of feeling. On the move again, they wheel me to another room, and my hopes rise once more to receive the treatment I so desperately need to make a comeback. This damned paralysis should have worn off by now, but it hasn't. I find myself in new quarters, and I hear many voices in the room. I hear crying, and the voice is that of my wife and now my children. They needn't cry, because I know that everything is going to be fine. And then I hear a sermon read. This cannot be happening. They still believe I'm dead, but I know this is to be an impossibility, for if I were dead, how would I still be able to think? I reiterate, how am I still able to think, damn it? I hear a creaky lid close over my face and observe the lights go dark in my world. I am taken for a ride, a slow final ride, as my situation is becoming clearer to me with each passing minute. The ride this time is liquid smooth and comes to an end with the sound of a gravel road beneath the tires. I am acutely aware that this is indeed the end, for I am dead, declared as such at 12:01 a.m., yet somehow I remain alive, forever trapped within a corpse from which there is no apparent escape. I want to scream, and then I want to cry. There will be no salvation for me, no bright lights, no heaven, only the cold, dark, moldering grave where I will rot for all eternity, mired in this earthly rotting shell. Please help me. For the love of all that is spiritual and holy, please help me. The casket jars me from side to side as the gravediggers lower me into the ink-stained depths. Oh God, no. Oh God, no.